Naspers is considering selling its pay TV business in Africa. Sluggish economic expansion in key markets tends to stifle growth, and viewers switch to much cheaper online alternatives. Now, according to sources close to the company, disposal of MultiChoice and its key brand, DStv, it's more commonly known across the continent, will not include the South African division. That one is said to be particularly profitable. A sale, however, is one of a number of options that are being considered by Africa's biggest company by market value, and a final decision on that has not yet been arrived at.
I think it's highly improbable. I mean, it's speculation. Sometimes such speculation turns out to be true, especially if it's about the latest iPhone features, but very often it doesn't. And I can't see that being a part of Naspers' strategy. DStv MultiChoice is not just a South African business. Sure, South Africa is probably more profitable. There are difficulties in other countries and regions in the continent, especially the oil-related economies of Nigeria and Angola. They're suffering because of their reliance on oil. But I can't see MultiChoice wanting to be broken up into different fragmented entities.
All right, then let's dig into the nitty-gritty details of the sale then. Angelo Coppola joins us now live from Johannesburg. Angelo, so the South African element of the pay TV business, not part of the sale, assuming it does go through. Why is that? From a pure numbers perspective, how do the margins there compare to operations, say, in Nigeria and Kenya?
Well, Raman, as it stands right now, of course, it is still a rumor. It's speculation, if you will. Naspers investor relations people told me a little earlier this evening that generally they don't comment or confirm or deny market rumors. If, however, there is any substance to the rumor, perhaps the issue with its African operations is that entrants are starting to make inroads there. Organizations, for example, like Star Times, for instance. On the reason why South Africa wouldn't be part of the potential sale, a couple of reasons. First of all, those margins are very, very attractive, and that's because any initial capital outlay that was laid down has probably been amortized over a longer period, so it makes the profit margins larger. Also, it's easier to transmit in South Africa in terms of the infrastructure that is available here. It's a lot more expensive in other parts of Africa because of satellite costs and the need to get those set-top boxes into those rural areas and communities. But we do know that there is increased pressure in Nigeria because of a dropping disposable income, for instance, and there's also speculation at the moment that is what the main issue is there. We're only going to see any kind of talks or announcements when the parties are ready to go to market. And at the moment, nobody's making any noises or confirming or denying anything, Raman.
Indeed. Let's talk about things that have happened, though. SuperSport, it's basically the flagship sports brand for DStv. It shut down operations in Nigeria and Kenya a matter of weeks ago, as a matter of fact. What was the rationale for that decision? Is it that in these two countries, they're simply not making money off local sports content?
That's the bottom line. You'll recall, of course, that SuperSport's owned by MultiChoice, so any decisions that they've made have been made in their Johannesburg offices. But MultiChoice remains tight-lipped about any closure or any reasons for the closure of those two operations or any other closures. If, as some analysts are suggesting, it's about that sluggish economic continental growth percentage, then we could see more cost-cutting happening in the very foreseeable future. As to whether Naspers is pressuring MultiChoice, well, that's unlikely. On the other hand, of course, it could simply be that MultiChoice is cutting costs to make itself more attractive to potential suitors, like perhaps MTN, for example.
Indeed, I'm glad you raised that particular point. From MTN's perspective, because they were rumored, again, to be one of the potential buyers here, why would MultiChoice be a good buy? This is a telecommunications company and they're trying to buy a content company. Where's the best fit here?
Well, now that MTN's kind of mostly recovered from its transgression in Nigeria, the company is going to refocus on its original plan. And that's one that's been punted for a couple of years now. It wants to diversify its revenue stream into digital and entertainment services. We know that MTN is already in talks with MultiChoice about providing TV entertainment on smartphones. So perhaps there is a good fit there. That's if the price is right and the fat has been cut out of the MultiChoice system before that new buyer steps in. Naspers did confirm that they are in talks with MTN on a content supply agreement. So it looks like it could be a good fit, provided the price is right.
Indeed, price always is what it comes down to. One last question for you, Angelo. In its last set of results, Naspers pointed out that they had roughly $200 million trapped in either Angola, Nigeria, a couple of other countries. Has there been any progress in getting that cash out?
Naspers haven't said a word since that last results presentation. In fact, their next one is on the 23rd of June, and we're likely to get more information there. It's been minimal news flow about the money and its exact quantum, except for those numbers that are in that financial balance sheet. There's no question, though, that there probably are ongoing talks around the money and how best to extract it. Of course, those conversations are very likely to be very complex and in all likelihood are going to be linked to any manner of terms, conditions and deals that have to be struck. For the moment, though, it will remain on the balance sheet as an unrealized revenue item or a possible profit. Raman?
Indeed. We'll leave you there for the time being. Thank you for the update. That's Angelo Coppola, of course, live in Johannesburg, South Africa.